Almost all of the failures that I'm presented with on pretty much a daily basis have nothing to do with calibration or UV exposure time or anything like that. Instead, what I see is that the model isn't properly set up for 3D printing in the first place. And that begins with orientation. So this video is going to be about how to orientate a figurine to make sure you have the highest success rate and to minimize support damage because, well, we all don't like a bunch of figurines covered in support damage. So with that, let's get going. To help out with this, I download Magneto from Zez Studios, just here in the Lychee library. So let's just see what he looks like here. I already went through and deleted all the supports and just reset the orientation for the sake of the video. I have explained how to properly orientate objects 1,000 times. And I think to make it a little bit easier for new users or anyone who's just kind of struggling to really get that aha moment, I've created 6 rules that I kind of follow. I guess more like guidelines, not really rules that I follow when I'm orientating. And I'll share these with you, and then let's apply them to some of the models here. So the first rule and the most important rule is limit overhangs. Let's see what an overhang is. Look at the bottom of this guy right here. This is an overhang, and right now it's huge. We want to limit those as much as possible. Rule number 2 is use keys and cuts to your advantage. Now, this really only applies to figures like this one and not like minis. But this guy has keys and cuts on the top and the bottom. So if we were to position these towards the build plate, we can plaster those with supports, and they're all going to be hidden. So we want to use those to our advantage as much as we can. The next one is, this is number 3, is minimize surfaces that will highlight any support damage. This one can be a little confusing. Let me use these pants here to show you what I mean. So if I printed it like this one, because I've got that key there, the problem is when I'm looking at this model, when he's all assembled, the pants are actually going to be like this, and I'm going to be looking down on him from kind of the top down. And all the supports would have to go on the top of the belt right here. And the problem with that one is it's going to ruin the top of the belt, and so I'm looking at it, I'll be looking at that support damage, something I don't want. So just make sure, again, we are minimizing the surfaces to basically, by minimizing the surfaces, what I really mean is don't point surfaces towards the build plate that are going to be staring at you in the face when the model is fully assembled. And number 4 is easy to confuse with number 1. Number 1, remember, is limiting overhangs. And number 4 is reduce cross sections. And these aren't the same. Let me show you. Let's hide these pants right here, and let's bring in his cape. His cape right here is a huge overhang. However, if we go to the slider and we bring the slider down, we can see its cross sections are actually relatively small. The cross section is the white area. So the more white you have in a build plate, the larger the cross section. And we want to minimize those as much as possible, as that's the peeling force and the tearing force, and everything that causes problems with resin 3D printing is the cross section. So remember, don't get cross section confused with overhang. They are different. But we do want to try to eliminate as many as possible. And those 2 things are going to help us with proper orientation. Number 5 is reduce small island count. Now this one can't always be helped. If you can imagine someone with a fur cloak with every little tuft of fur pointing down, you may want to orientate that so they're pointed up to reduce the small island, or like a dragon with scales. And sometimes you can't really avoid this. For example, this helmet right here. This helmet has a ton of small islands due to the texture on the hose valves right here. And so, of course, I can orientate this in a way to where those valves are pointed more up. But, of course, if I do this, I'm putting support damage on surfaces that are going to be very visible when it's printed. So sometimes you just kind of have to deal with it. But just try to keep that in mind. If there's ever a way to orientate a model where you're minimizing surfaces that you're going to see in the final product, but you can also reduce the small islands, that's the best. But if I had to weigh between them, I'm going to end up supporting more small islands if it helps me preserve the surfaces in the final product. And the 6th is, let's have a rule and guideline that's more of a starting position. And that is to orientate the object to mirror the way they're going to be assembled in the final product. This works pretty well because if you could imagine like a foot, if you basically arrange it up so that the leg and the foot are straight up the way that it's going to be in the final product, that's most likely actually going to be the proper way to support it because the keys and the bottom of the foot are facing the build plate where all the damage is going to go. Same thing you think of like a neck and a head. If the key is in the neck and that's what's facing the build plate like it is in the model, in most cases, that's actually pretty close to how it's going to be. But anyway, let's take these 6 rules and apply them and start positioning some of these objects. So with that in mind, let's get started with the legs. And I'm just going to put it in the position that, again, he's going to be assembled in. I'm going to move to the bottom, just center him here on the build plate. And I just like to get it as all squared away as much as I can. So from here, what I'm going to try to do is I see these two keys here, and I see there's going to be some islands. This is something I really want to keep in mind on. This belt right here, each one of these belts is going to be an island. And sometimes what's a good idea is to come over and just run a quick island detection on the way that you've got the object, just to highlight what you may have missed with your eye, especially when you're getting new, especially when you're new to this. And I can look at the islands here on the belt, and I can definitely see, yep, there's some islands there. So what I want to do with the way I'm going to position it is I can, do it straight up like that one, or I can rotate it back a little bit so I can grab some of these belts in the back. Now the next one is the chest, and we're going to use a lot of these rules on this chest. It seems pretty simple, but it's actually, there's some really cool stuff we can do with this one. So first thing, we're just going to orientate it the way that I said. Just put it the way it's going to basically be assembled in the final object as our starting point. And if you look at it from the bottom again, we can kind of see where our cross sections are. But remember, we want to minimize basically surfaces that are going to highlight any support damage. And right here, his arm sticking out almost parallel, which is also an overhang. We want to eliminate overhangs. So there's a couple rules right here. It's going to need a lot of supports. And we'll same on both of them, right? Because both these arms are kind of going straight. So they're going to need supports on both sides. And we don't want that. So using the keys to our advantage, it looks like this key right here is pointed more down and that point's pointed more up. So we can actually we can take advantage of that. So let's rotate him more this way. And what we can see here is we're getting, a little bit less support. If we go too far, now I've got the point where that arm is going to support itself. But of course, I'm going to have to put a lot of supports on the side here. So it's a little bit of give and take. What I could do is kind of position it more to the back. And so more of that support damage is going to be on the back. And this guy, he's got a big cape on. So I'm actually not going to see any of that support damage on his back. So really, it ends up being more something like this. This is a little extreme, and maybe I can kind of tone it down just a little bit and just find a good balance between it all. But ultimately, this is actually probably how I'd print this guy out. So I think on this guy, I think we're pretty good. As far as cross-section goes, this would actually have a pretty big cross-section if we didn't hollow it. But because we're hollowing it, the cross-section overall stays relatively small over the entire print. So we eliminated the overhangs as much as we could. It is a pretty big chest, as well as the cross-section. So I think on this one, we actually did a pretty good job. And the next one, let's do the cape. The cape is a difficult one on this one. Let's just go through and put it kind of in the position it's going to be, when it's assembled. It's probably kind of like that. And the good thing about doing this first also is I can kind of look at it and see what's going to be visible in the final product. His whole chest is going to be here, his legs. So this back right here, he's got an arm that attaches, but for the most part, this back right here is going to be very, very noticeable. So I don't want to put a bunch of supports there. But I also need to go through and reduce the cross sections, and I need to make sure I don't put supports again where it's highly visible. So on this one, you could, if I do that one, I'm going to have supports on the bottom and right here. Not very noticeable that they're going to be kind of facing where it is, but it's hard to get to some of these overhangs because they're kind of hidden from me. So I could move it more forward like that. Of course, as I do that, I start to expose more and more and more of all that yellow that I have to put supports now over. So, you could do something maybe like this one, or you could do something quite a bit different, which is to rotate the whole thing like that and expose this bottom edge right here, which we can basically plaster with supports. It's going to be really easy to sand and clean up. And then I have to get access to that key over there. It's a pretty big thing and I need supports. So if I rotate that forward like that, I can start to expose this area that needs a lot of supports. In fact, I may even do a little bit more just so I can get more supports. It's really heavy right here. And I want to be able to get a bunch of supports right there on that edge. So it's just kind of playing with it and just trying to find a way where those overhangs and support damage are going to be mostly where I can't see them in the final product. And right here, I think this, as weird as this looks, this might actually be the best way to do it. The next one, we have his face. And faces should be pretty easy. Most people just say tilt them back about 45 degrees and call it a day. But there's something you need to keep in mind. Let's go over here, click on the gear, and then click on Layer Thickness Preview. And let's zoom in. What we can see is we get this weird pattern on his forehead, which is actually not a bad thing because he's going to have a helmet on. So this forehead pattern is going to be completely covered up. But not everyone does have a helmet that goes over. If we were to tilt him more and more back, you'll see that weird, terrain mountain pattern ends up on his nose. So his nose wouldn't look very good. In fact, if we went all the way you can see that this would be very easy to print because his teeth wouldn't need any supports, and the back of his head's going to be completely covered with a helmet. So ultimately, this would actually print very well as far as, preserving the face features, but it would put a lot of these weird features right on the tip of his nose, his teeth, his lips. It just looks terrible. So you could actually go through and do it the other way. I talked about minimizing small islands. The nose is an island. The teeth are small islands. Over here, we got some eyelashes that look like small islands, but they're actually not, given the way it was designed. So in here, we actually could 3D print it this way. And the weird shapes, however, are going to be on the bottom of his nose and bottom of his chin. Let's kind of go back to the way it was, maybe more up here like that. So I've got that weird shape on this forehead. Not a big deal because they'll have a helmet. And everything actually looks pretty good. But I do have the teeth. The teeth are small islands. So, like I said, sometimes we can't always eliminate small islands, but I did eliminate the nose and I did eliminate the chin from needing any supports. So ultimately his face is going to look pretty good. The next one's pretty easy, but I see it done wrong all the time. When you've got like flat, skinny pieces, I see everyone lay them flat and put supports on the bottom. That's going to create issues. It will print faster if that's all you're printing is flat things on the build plate, but it's going to cause a lot of issues. So what we want to do instead is something like this rebar that goes in the base, is we want to just print it upwards. And we can look at the islands on this one. There'll be a few islands on this side, but if I orientate it kind of back like that, as you can see, the ones on the back are facing up, so no islands. The ones here on the front, they are facing down, so each one of these ridges right here could be an island unless we tilt it back just a hair. Now, I pretty much eliminated all the islands. I've got a little bit of, overhang I can put a few tiny supports on, but that's just for stability. For the most part, this could probably get away with only supports on the very, very bottom and nowhere else. Now, what do you do if you've got a weird shape like this one? Shapes that I see that are kind of like an arch, I see can sometimes be like an arm that's in a position like this, where it's cut off. What I like to do on those ones is I actually like to position it almost like an arch, because arch are self-supporting. So if I've got an arm like this one, I'll place it so the fist is down and the arm is down, and that way the entire arm prints without any supports on it, like an elbow, which can sometimes be more visible than a fist. And this one we can see there's also an arch. So if I arch it like this one, I've got a pretty big overhang. This is a little bit bigger than an arm, but I get to put supports on both the top and the bottom of this. If I orientate it printing up, I get only supports on the bottom, a few on the top, but of course they get taller. So this one it's a little bit of a tricky one because it's such a big object. You could, that creates more overhang, so you could do it either way. We're kind of breaking one of the rules right here we created more overhang. But because it's an arch and most of it's self-supporting, we don't need that many supports, and I think it's actually going to look a little bit better than trying to do it like that. And just because it's kind of an interesting one and can show us some more of our 6 rules over here, let's look at the helmet. So this is how it's going to plug into him. And if we look from the bottom, it's actually not bad just printing it like this one. There are going to be some ports right here next to his face, but it looks like it'd be pretty easy to sand. Same thing right here, you could probably sand that down pretty easily. So, but you do have to deal with all these pipes, which I wish were cut off on this model so I could just print them out of a different material and support them differently. There's another way you could do this. The top of this helmet right here, it's going to have this weird texture I talked about earlier, which we don't like, that weird stepping feature. And if I rotate it 180, and I'm breaking one of my rules because now I'm going to put supports on the top, but I'm going to end up sanding the top of this helmet, which is going to make it kind of smooth and get rid of that texture anyway. So if I did it this way, I actually am leaving all of the bottom of this entire helmet completely clean, support-free, which is going to clean it up away from his face. And like I said, the top of it, which I probably want to sand down anyway to get rid of that texture, is going to look great after I sand it. So I would actually probably print it in both ways, upside down and upside up, just to see which one worked out better. But I have a hunch that actually this one, after a very light sanding, is going to be the winner for sure. All right, and that's it for this one. I hope in this one I went slow enough and I broke it down in a way that kept it easy to follow along and easier to understand. That way I stop seeing as many failures due to improper orientation that leads to improper supporting. I want to see a lot more success and a much more beautiful prints out there on the web of resin 3D printing. Also, you know the drill by now. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Lychee YouTube channel. It helps me to continue making content like this for you, which I definitely hope you enjoy enough to get that like button as well. If you haven't joined us on the Lychee Slicer Discord, do that now. We're always there, ready to help you for anything that you need. And as always, thank you for watching. Have a great day.